trigger anyway, so no big deal. But
dollar yen looks really interesting again today.
Look, I've just been watching a couple of times today, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. Nothing's happening.
Guys, you know what? Trump was at it again last night.
Was he?
Yeah. I don't know. Are we live?
Yep, just about.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Yeah, Trump was at it again last night. He came out and said that the tariffs would be left in place until after the election. He didn't say after the election. He gave a date, and it is after the election, just to make sure that the Chinese don't renege on the agreement. So the signing, it's really what we were saying yesterday about the devil's in the detail. I don't know whether the Chinese already knew that, but that could be quite interesting. That could be an interesting dynamic. Potentially, I suppose it could spoil the trade deal altogether. I don't know.
Is there a time on it, mate?
Well, there will be, but I don't know when it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what time they are signing. I guess sometime during the US Open. But I'm not 100% sure of when.
Okay, I know you've got a little bit of work to do, so I'll get straight into the pound trade, which is, we're giving a little bit back at the moment, which is not kind of where we need to be, but we'll
I'm just going to mute this
we'll come back to you in the next little bit.
Yeah, so, I'll be back in 5.
Rightio. Let's have a look and see what we're doing today. As is quite the norm lately, we're getting, well, I was going to say big bars. This is hardly a big bar in the context of big bars. At the moment, it's around about 15 pips, moving a little bit more than that. But that's the one that we'll be trading, and we'll be going 10 pips above that for our entry. We'll be going 5 pips below that for our entry short. So let me prepare for that. We can safely determine our long entry, I believe. So that will be a buy stop, and the entry level will be 10 pips above there. 130.37 is the high, so our entry will be 130.47. 130.47. And our stop loss at this point will be 5 pips below where we are at the moment, but we'll have to wait for the candle to close to get an accurate stop loss. Looks like the speculators are anticipating that we're going to sell the pound on open, but anything could happen here. They could get it horribly wrong. Who knows? The one thing I would say is, gee, what a slow market we are witnessing at the moment. Morning, Lewis. Okay, so there's our close. Entry 5 pips below, stop loss 5 pips below. There'll be 130.11. 130.11, which will also be our entry for the short. I hope we're not too late for that. Oh my goodness. God, I hate that. Entry long was 130.47. That got lost when I changed the risk. 130.47, and we place the order. That one's in place. The short we will now place, and we know what the stop loss is, don't we? $130.37, 47, sorry. Entry will be at that level there. Can't remember what it is. 5 below here, 130.11. 130.11. Okay, there we go. Righto, we've got both in place. The long entry here at 130.47, its stop loss is 130.11. The short entry is the reverse of that, 130.11, with a stop loss at 130.47. Now, yesterday we had another loser. We're racking up a few losers here on this particular strategy at the moment. That's the way she goes. And if need be, when we've done our 3 months of trialing this particular system. Why have I got a crosshair there? Oh, it's not a crosshair. I've fooled myself. That's actually a vertical line. Righto. So we entered on the close of this bar, which of course was the 9 o'clock bar in MT4 terms, but the 7 o'clock bar in real-time GMT. And, again, as we said at the time and as we said the day before, there's no way on God's green earth that you would attempt to take this trade. No possible way in the world you would attempt to take that trade short. But the system doesn't allow for discretion, so we entered as we normally do. And we trailed then on a 15-minute chart, which after entry, see, we didn't get much of a shot, did we? We came back and trailing 2 15-minute bars. There were no 2 15-minute bars in here, but there were our first our only 2 15-minute bars that were going in a southerly direction. So our stop loss moved to there, which coincidentally was exactly half our risk. So that gave us a 0.5% loss on the strategy that we're trading, which is 10 pips above entry and stop loss, 5 pips below entry and stop loss. So exactly 0.5% lost on that. We're now down to 11.48% progressive from the 21st of November. From where we started, we're down 0.39%. When I say where we started this year, we're actually down 0.39%. So if you've only just jumped in since the beginning of the year, that's exactly what we're down. Actually, it's a bit more than that, 12.16. We're down 0.58 of 1%. So a little bit more than 0.5% we're down on this year to date. On the alternate strategy, which is put your stop loss at the high low of the candle rather than 5 pips above or below, we would have lost 0.68% yesterday. And that takes our tally to 13.44%. And here's the interesting part. That's on the alternate strategy. Since the beginning of the year, we are only down 0.11%. That's kind of interesting, with 6 losers and 2 winners. I love that.
I'm with you.
I love that. That's cool. So 6 losers and 2 winners gets us only a loss of 0.1%, trading at 1%. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. I do like that stat. Of course, we're hoping to turn this around. So from the beginning of the year, we've got 6-2. What's that? That's 3 times 1. That's 75%. Is that right? Yes. 75% losers. Not great. Not great win-loss ratio, but the actual loss in percentage terms is quite encouraging. And I know you've got people looking at me going, what are you talking about? You are actually down and lost 6 trades out of 8. I'm excited by that, guys. Don't think for one moment that I'd rather be in a positive situation since the beginning of the year. That's true, but I reckon we can turn this around, at least a 50-50, no problem. And if that's the case, then this looks really, really cool. So we'll stick with it. No dramas. All is good at the moment. The thing that I'm most keen on is the fact that our losers are small and our winners are on average pretty good. So whilst ever we maintain that ratio, we'll
Are
still
we
be
long? Are
okay.
you short today, mate?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I think
Why
this.
are
I
we
think it's
gone
a good one.
already? No, we haven't.
I don't, maybe not triggered in, but if we can kind of consider, we got a NPC member out later on today at 8:40, I believe. So in the next 40 minutes, and he's expected to say something fairly dovish as well. So likely to talk more about the cut in interest rates. FTSE 100 is picking up yet again, which I just can't seem to catch the downside on this one. I thought I had a chance yesterday, and traded short off the back of Donald Trump's announcement, but the market has swallowed that right the way back up again and doesn't seem to be at all fussed by that particular story. So I've just put some protection in place and just making sure that the market can just clear out a little bit. So it doesn't seem to matter what gets thrown at this market. It just wants to go up. So at this stage, I think let's play the path of least resistance for right now.
Mate, I think the good thing for you is it's actually moving. I've got a market on the things that I trade is just doing absolutely nothing. So I've got very little interest again today in trading at the moment. So if you've got something to show us on the FTSE happy days.
Well, yeah,
not,
we can talk through. Yeah, we can talk through it. There's, to be quite honest, there's not really a whole lot because we're the FTSE's in a range, but that range has proved to be fairly solid when it comes down to every time it comes to the lower end of it. It keeps popping up. Oh, I need to. If you share, allow me to share, mate. That'd be great.
Okay, well, I'll see you later because I'll be kicked out.
See you shortly.
There's got to be a way. There's just got to be a better way.
Sometimes it works, doesn't it? Okay. We'll join with Jeff in a minute. Good morning, guys. So, yeah, the FTSE it just can't seem to come. It just doesn't want to come down. I've got a load of trades which really are kind of facing downwards, but this is my biggest concern because it has come down and tested the level it came from, and as soon as it did that, even though it was the horrible price action, V-shaped recoveries are awful, really. If you are looking for a place to get out with a bit more information, because they don't accumulate down here. They don't start to accumulate first and then take off, which is really what we've got going on here. What we got going on here. Sorry. But there's also some distribution and this awful pattern, but it just suggests that if it does start to break down, then maybe it comes down fairly hard. But right now we've just got to continue to rely on the upside, and I think that upside probably it could well take us up to around about probably about 100 pips from here realistically when we look at this on a daily chart. Let's just clean this up a little bit. Look at this on a daily chart. Then this is all the way back in July 2019. So we probably, I don't see why we can't come up to this level before shrinking down again, which is about 60 pips to the upside. Just these bars, these bars just looked kind of negative, but it's just not proving to be lucrative to try and trade it short from this area at this stage. Yesterday's bar does suggest some weakness, and as I say, Donald Trump was back to his old tricks last night, saying that the tariffs will remain on the Chinese imports until after the election, just to make sure they don't renege on the trade deal. And I thought that would be enough to drive the market down, but it's not. And at best we're getting a pause. We're not really getting a real move. Now that's still making me a little bit I'm still looking for the downside. I'm just wondering whether we might need to pop up a little bit further first. But the downside still is interesting to me because you don't really get a release like that without some kind of reaction in the opposite direction. But I just wonder whether people are waiting for the trade deal to be signed, or just waiting to see if the trade deal will be signed, because that's going to be the interesting thing. I don't know whether the Chinese were aware of that situation with the tariffs. But
so are you really thinking that's a possibility that they're not going to go, that the Chinese will not sign?
I don't think so, mate. No, and the reason I don't think that that's the case is because I would have thought I would have thought they knew what the situation was before they arranged to come, to the States to for the signing. Actually, this FTSE does look kind of weak now. I wonder if we should get in short here. Hold on 1 second. Right, I might need to come back to you in a little while, mate. I just want to see if I might need to trade this. I'm looking for the short here, just below these levels.
Do you want to take a breather?
Yeah, let me take a quick breather here.
Okay, if you stop sharing, I'll take over. And I show you what I'm probably not looking at more than what I am looking at, I think. A pound Kiwi is one that we got into last week. And those of you who, I wasn't actually in this show, but I think you guys got into this one. I think you did. That's the vagaries of being in 4 shows a day, I suppose. You're not sure exactly which audience is actually in which trade. And not because I don't share the same trades, but because the timing is everything, of course, and I just don't know who's in what when. So maybe I think you guys may well have got TP2 out of this. I'm not sure. If you didn't follow my trade management, you would have been okay, and you would have got TP1 at least, maybe even TP2. But anyway, it's now come back to our entry, exactly back to our entry, which is very, very interesting for me. That level right there, which is where we entered the market. The issue I have here in entering again is that it now has put in a nice double bottom sitting here. That's on the hourly chart, of course. But if you go to the 4-hour chart, it's exactly the same. And the base here, followed by a significant higher low, is a little bit spooky for me. So I'm not that keen on going short again right now. I think this could go either way at the moment. Is it possible to trade it short? Look, it is, depending on what this candle does. But yeah, your risk to reward's pretty poor. You've got, as I said, a higher low sitting here. This looks far more like a long now to me than it does a short. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. I think I've changed polarity for now on pound Kiwi. Aussie. Yeah, look, Aussie going down doesn't please me at all. What I saw this morning, and there's at the moment many ways to look at the market. I can make a case for just about anything, because we have got so much consolidation, so many high tails, so many low tails, that it's very, very easy to see something that that looks reasonable on the surface. But if you dig a little bit deeper, and by deeper I mean go wider, the picture becomes far more clear. And the consolidation that we're going through on Aussie dollar is impossible to trade for mine at the moment, because it's not defined, or it's not coming off the top, it's not coming off the bottom. It's just a mess. So until it shows its colors and actually gets out of here, I don't think I'm happy to trade it. That said, I'm still in Aussie CAD long, unfortunately, and that doesn't look real flash at the moment. Yes, mate.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, so I can show you guys what I'm doing now. I just want to concentrate just for a minute. Okay, so there is a short in the market that you guys can take if you fancy it in the FTSE 100. A massive 15-minute bar is suggesting some downside here. Let me just take the screen. Where is the screen? Oh, where is it? Oh, I haven't got the app. Where's the app? What can I get on here?
I don't know, mate.
Let me give you guys the levels. give you guys the levels. So you're looking for a break of 76.10. 76.10 is where you'd be looking to put your order in the market. So a short at 76.10. And if you look at a 15-minute chart, you're looking for a stop of around about 25 pips. So you're looking for a stop level just above the last 15-minute
I can't
bar.
see your charts, mate. All I can see.
No, I'm just
right, okay.
just looking for the app and I can't find it. Let me just see if it's online. Why can't? Oh, no, that's weird. Why can't I find the app? It's disappeared from my I wonder if I should. Do you know what, mate? I'll sign out. Can I even sign out? Oh, hold on a minute. No, this might be it. Here we go. It just reduced down somewhat. Okay, so we're looking for a short. I mean, there were signs and signals anyway. Now I'm going to bring it onto a chart that you guys are trading. So you're around about 2 pips away from your entry. Now the reason the entry is where it is, the reason the entry will be where it is because I'd like to see it break down this trend line really. So that's going to be around about there, for your entry. I like the dive down this morning. I do believe we have a reason. It surprised me how resilient the market was after that Donald Trump announcement. But maybe they start to digest now, and we do come down. It's been so difficult, and maybe this continues to prove to be so because every time it has come down, it's just popped up again, and it's popped up again with some vengeance as well. So timing this one's going to be tricky. So that's why I'd say rather than just going short, it's probably better to see if you can see a bit of a break of something. And this 76.10 would be I think is a fairly decent level for that. So this bar here is where your stop's going to be. So your range is around about 25 pips. So just above that bar. Looks pretty good to me. I mean, there might even be a case to be made that you could put it right at the top of the bar because that's the real trend line there, and it might even come back and test that first, which is another potential entry point. If it comes up here, then I'd trade there, and it might get pipped in here though. Not quite. Yeah, there you go. You should be in. So let's see now from here. Let's just have a quick look at where this could go. And I mean, there's quite a few different places, but the area that I'd look for really from this. Now I'm going to have to switch to the futures briefly. I won't bring it onto this chart actually. Let's just have a look at the pivots here. There's a weekly pivot which is probably about 60 pips, 50 pips below us. 57. Yeah, it's about 50 pips down. So you're aiming for about 50 pips. So let's just drag that down and see what that looks like on price. So it's this area here. Yeah. So you're looking at this low, the low of this bar here, and that's a take profit area. But you know, I wouldn't encourage you to take the whole trade off the table. That would give you a 2-to-1. And if you can take off half there, then you've effectively got a fairly, your trade is safe at that point. And then I would slide your stops down to the trend line. I wouldn't necessarily want to slide them too close. Now, Jeff and I discussed the other day about putting stops too close, and the reason that I wouldn't put them right on entry is because this has got a chance of really coming down, and if it does, then you want a little bit of room for maneuver. But let's use this trend line as an area for stop. So if it comes down to this point, you might find that it takes a little while to get down there, and if it's the same time that the entry price is hit effectively, then you can move stops to entry. But I wouldn't encourage you to necessarily do that too early. Now, if it only comes down here and starts to bounce, then maybe that would be a different matter, and I would get those stops safe because this has been such a difficult market to trade, and it may well continue to do that. So it might not be the wisest thing to stick in there if there are still some buyers that are interested in this market to push price up again. So yeah, you know, just stick in there, I guess is the message. But there is a short now in the market, 76.10, aiming for 70, 75, 60, that kind of area. But ultimately we are aiming for the second half just to trail down, probably behind some price points. That trend line there is also looking like it might play a part in it. So it could be 76.70, between 76.70 and 76.30. But watch out for this trend line, because that may well just be in conjunction with a low here. So you're probably aiming for around about 40 to 50 pips to the downside. So we are in, mates. Now let's see what happens here. And as I say, you know, got to be careful because this market is so buoyant. It's just been an impossible one really to trade, you know. And
yeah, look, I'm finding that also. I really can't find anything that I'm terribly interested in. There's a few things I'm still looking at, but at the end of the day, I don't see anything that I'm really enthused about currently. Don't like the fact that the Aussie's tanking, but you know, it is.
It's weird, isn't it? It's just been the Aussie's tanking. I mean, actually, we should be looking around across the board just to see if we can get a feel of what the market sentiment is today. So let's quickly do that.
Well, you know, we said yesterday, and it happened exactly at the same time, where it looked very much like the dollar was gaining strength, but that didn't last too long.
Yeah.
I'm seeing pretty much the same thing right now. Well,
let's have a look.
At least the first part of that. I'm not sure whether it continues today, but you know.
Let's have a look around. So gold has taken a little pop to the upside, and I wonder whether it's got a little bit further to travel up before coming down. Doesn't suggest that we're at a significant area of resistance. So gold popping up just a little bit, not hugely emotive, but it is suggesting that we're getting something on gold. I wonder if we're getting yeah, it's just a little bit above that that area there. So it looks like it might have some open water. So maybe some open water in gold. S&P slightly easing to the downside. Again, looking a little bit heavy here, but not anything hugely significant. And then that's also got to break down some levels if it's going to be a market which is going significantly lower. So we're going to have to watch out for what's going on in the States. Dow Jones Industrials might take a little while longer to create a pattern, but again, it's just showing some signs of weakness along here. Looks like there's a little trend line there that it's just grabbing onto, but that could potentially come down to test a level. Again, you know, if that was to drop, then, you know, would it drop hard? I don't know. There's probably enough liquidity in the market to keep the market buoyant as well. So we're looking at a Dow which is just a little bit under pressure. The dollar yen looks a little bit under pressure as well, without anything really significant happen. So not a huge amount to garner from that. The pound's the interesting one, and the reason that I like the pound to the downside is that we really did have some terrible GDP numbers, and we had also a governor coming out and saying that. An MPC member coming out and saying that they would be looking at lowering interest rates, and I think we could be waiting for 840 before we get a clearer picture on that. Yeah, exactly. There's another one due, so that might change the sentiment there with the pound and bring us back to the downside again. So we might just be returning a little bit to.
And the CPI figures about 50 minutes after that as well.
Okay. All right. Well, that is giving us reason to believe that the pound could fall and drop here as well.
Indeed, it is. As far as me trading is concerned, okay, we do have a bit of movement now. Now that we've opened the session, which is great. Finally, we've got a bit of movement. I tend to be one of those people who watch the first 30-minute candle and then look to trade. Are you done, mate? Should we go
Yeah.
and have a look around the grounds?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. When I looked at today from about I don't know, this morning, I suppose, even I looked at the market and I thought, oh my God, it's going to be one of those days. And it looked very much like that was going to be the case. But it does appear that we do have something to look at, because we've had a little bit of movement early in the session. The euro, I'm going to start with the euro. And the euro, I've been bearish the euro for a long, or seems like the longest time, but like a lot of us, it's very much rangy. The one thing that I have been looking for is the right time to trade this short, and maybe, you know, it's so tricky, isn't it? You get an almost retest of the monthly pivot, but not quite. You don't even hit the trade line, and it's very, very tricky to say that now is the time to go short. What I generally look for once we come into a range is exactly that, a lower high, and that probably was it, but I don't see an entry there for me. Not even on the daily chart did I see an entry there for me. And that's sort of, you know, no candle there that says to me, okay, now's the time to go short at all. It just doesn't seem to be playing my game. The only thing I would say is that it tested the backside of this trend line, and hasn't really shown much since. It's just gone sideways. So very, very difficult to say, okay, well, that's the bar that I want to trade. And had you traded that, well, that's kind of one of my bars. It's a bullish bar, but to me, it's telling me something. Had I entered there, I would, you know, be out of the money at the moment, and with a guessing game going on as to what happens next. And a lot, I think, probably has to do with what this agreement or contract signature, whatever it is,
Yeah.
phase one, who knows what it says. A lot will have to do with, as we've said for the last 2 days, the detail in that. So to me, it's a guessing game. You know, you toss a coin, it could go either way from here. But if I do get a strong signal, so price back up to here on a rally, maybe even after that news, and then give me a reversal bar, then I can go short. But at the moment, to me, it's a guessing game. Cable, well, I think cable's been a guessing game for quite a while, but if you have a look at this chart, it's now very clearly giving us lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Sorry, lower low, lower high, potential lower high. It's not there yet. But if you then go back and say, well, okay, that's the 4-hour chart, but what's the daily chart telling me? The daily chart's telling me that we've rejected this trend line again for the 1, 2, 3, 4th time. And what happened from there? Well, generally a bounce or a break. At the moment, we're seeing a bounce, but only, and not, well, I suppose to this level here. So to the nearest resistance level. So that bounce is potentially invalid. At the end of the day, you've got a pennant formation that's saying, okay, we're bound between the support and resistance areas. So, you know, once again, I say to myself, really, is there, yes, there will be a breakout, but where's it going to go? If I'm completely, I was going to use the word honest, but that's not even pertinent. If I'm completely, I don't even know what the word is. If my imagination runs wild with me, I see this as a retracement off a trade line that actually took out the low, and therefore I'm thinking short. But I've got no real evidence to suggest that that's going to be the case, because we didn't get a close below here. If we got a close below here, a bit different. We've just got nothing. We've got upper hapsa. So again, toss the coin. Which way is it going to go? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable market there. So the FTSE 100 is almost complete retracing. I mean, I would suggest getting out of that trade, actually, guys. I don't even think that waiting for a stop to be hit is that wise. Markets just closed above the daily pivot, and I've closed mine down because I just don't like the look of this at all.
Okay, mate. I think that's pretty indicative of what's going on, frankly. I think the market is very, very difficult to read. And for that reason, I'm just not looking to enter any more trades, I've got to say.
Yeah.
If something's obvious, then fine, don't have a problem. But nothing I see is screaming at me, gee whiz, this is obvious. You've got to get into this. The only one that stood out was this one. And that was yesterday, and we placed that trade yesterday. I've still got that place. I've still got that placed, and I've got no problem with it. I think it's still the way to go. It is a potential false break of this resistance area, which of course is the box range that we've been trading in since November, or even early November. So I still think that's valid, but I think it's the only valid thing that I have at the moment. Everything else is a perhaps a yes, we've come back inside the range here on euro yen, but where is my lower high that's giving me an entry point? Where are my trend lines? Where are my trade lines? I've got nothing. I've just got nothing to trade.
Yeah.
And when that's the case, well, pretty much you do nothing. This one here is interesting to me. And I don't know if we actually went through it yesterday, but it's very much a case of bang, 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 away we go. Bang, 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 away we go. But there's less bang bangs here, if I can put it that way. And I quite like the potential for this to go long. Have I got the kahunas to trade it is the next question. I'd have to trade it from there if I was going to trade it at all. And therefore, I'll be trading straight into this resistance level, which is just suicidal. So I really can't do that. But what it is indicating to me is that there is potential for this to actually go long. Why? Because we actually have had a close above the monthly pivot. I know we had a close above the monthly pivot at the beginning of the month, but we've had a close above the monthly pivot again. So what I'm saying is, if I get the opportunity down here somewhere, maybe off a trade line coming through here as a false break, I can look to take that shot over the bow, and that's what I call these things. They're giving me an early indication that this is possible. And so if I find an entry down here that suggests I can go long, then that's exactly what I look to do, because I think this may well be a shot over the bow. There's a certain look about this as well. If it were to come down to this level, if you like, down around about here, I think that would be an okay place to look for a long. So that's very much in my focus. It's 103.92, so let's call it 104, shall we? The 104 level is very, very interesting to me. The only thing I don't like about it is I know I'm in an Aussie CAD long at the moment, and that's looking dreadful, but I can't make a strong case for an Aussie long right now. But against the Kiwi, maybe I can. And if you look at the position of Aussie Kiwi, you'll understand why. Because we're at the bottom of a very, very long-term box range, which goes back to 2014. Right, this is a ranging pair at the best of times, but right now I'm seeing a potential rejection of this level for the umpteenth time in that 5.5 year period. So that's why I'm a little bit on the bullish side of Aussie Kiwi, not because I think there's strength in the Aussie, but I think we've got a very, very strong technical reason to be looking at that. So if I drill down on the time frames, that's exactly what I'm looking for. If I look at the daily chart, all I'm really looking for is, and you can see now why that monthly pivot is key. It's actually pivotal to this potential trade. And I think even if I got, I don't know where this has got to go, maybe back to this level here, the 104 level again. If it were to do that, I think I'd place an entry there anyway above that bar. This is on a daily chart, right? So I'll be looking at that tomorrow morning. The 4-hour chart, look, basically anything will do that looks like a trade, but I don't have a trade line available to me at the moment, and that's my main concern. But I do want to see this continue to pull back and get back to this level, because I think that's the level, that's the real level where I want to get long, and it is around about that 104 level, as I said. I even try and force my way into it if that were the case. So very keen on long Aussie Kiwi, but it's got to set up right. Mate, I can go on forever, I think, with potentials and speculate as to what may happen next, but really I've got no confidence in anything other than what I've just mentioned. The Aussie Kiwi I have got a lot of confidence in. Yes, Lewis, an inverted head and shoulder coming up potentially on that pair. And Dolly Yen, I'm still keen on that daily situation on Dolly Yen. But I think today, if I do see a euro pound daily pivot test and a reversal bar, in particular if I've got a trend line on a smaller time frame to rely upon, I think that's probably a potential one as well. But apart from those, I'm just not interested, Ash. There's a lot going on.
I appreciate it, mate. I completely appreciate it. I've got a same sort of thing, you know, another very, very tricky open, and it's just suggesting that you know, we probably do just need to just sit this one out. Would have been taken out, I think, those stops. So if you did manage to get out a bit early, it's a bit of money saved at least. But not liking this market one bit, mate. We got NPC member out in about 2 minutes, which will probably put a bit of weakness in the pound, but that's going to be an interesting thing to now watch. So let's see what happens with the pound here as well.
Yeah, indeed. Look, and we're probably, our trade today is at the mercy of that, I would have thought. If he can deliver us something that is a bit dovish, or the market perceives it as a bearish signal, then we might be okay. Again, you know, every single day this week, and for the past couple of weeks, I've said there is no way known to mankind that I would take this trade. And that is again the case today. But the system is the system. And as I say, at the 3-month period, we'll reassess, but we'll continue to monitor it as it goes along and see if we can tweak it just a little bit. The key to it is always going to be keep our losses as small as possible. And that's why we're trailing on a smaller time frame. And if we get a decent winner, then happy days. Maybe today's the day, Ash. We will see.
Yeah, let's give it a go. All right, dude.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm with you. I haven't really got anything else to add. And I think it's probably better we just sit this one out. It's just, it can get a bit too tiring, you know, trading markets like this, very, very choppy. And I think I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and wait till later and see if we can get some developments.
Yeah, that later may well be 2021. The way I'm looking at it. I'm only kidding, of course. It will come to a point where, well, look, at the end of the day, it's January 15th. We're halfway through the month of January. A lot of traders still not back at work, one would have thought. And there's our little statement. Why the market reacts on good morning, everyone. I don't know, but that's pretty much all that would have been said at the moment. But it's all it goes.
Yeah, and he's at it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's up to the pleasure to be speaking with you this morning part.
Yeah,
and that's about all. Anyway, we'll see how it pans out. With any luck, it'll just keep going.
All right, buddy.
Right, mate. Sorry, guys, it is a bit boring, but you know that's the way I'm seeing things at the moment. It's a market I'm not really interested in. I just want to see it unfold and develop, and then take some positions when it becomes more obvious. So, mate, we'll do it again tomorrow. Hey.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Back 5 to 8, and yeah, don't be late. That's a date.
It's a date, buddy.
All right, dude. See you in the morning. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Bye, everyone.
See you, guys.